Happy Halloween, Billiken fans, and welcome back to the Midtown Madness podcast with Peter Hale and Zach Miller. Pete, how's it going? Did you take the little ones out trick-or-treating tonight, or are they not of trick-or-treating age yet?
Yeah, they're 5 and 2. So the 2-year-old didn't have a lot of steam, but she was in the stroller. The 5-year-old had the time of his life, though. This was the first year he really got to take full advantage. So he's still flying high from that experience.
Do you and the wife get in the act too and put on costumes, or are you guys jeans and hoodie types?
Yeah, exactly. Theirs are so much work that maybe when they're a little older and a little more self-sufficient, we can get back in the spirit. But right now, no, we're just focused on keeping them in one piece.
I gotta say, I attended at least one Halloween event this weekend, and the MVP was my girlfriend, who put together an absolutely epic Spider-Man Homecoming costume for me. It was like the one that he wore like when he was just starting, like his homemade costume. And I had at least 2 people ask me for pictures, and I had to go out of my way to make sure they knew that it wasn't me who put it together. I could not take any credit for it, but no, it was I felt like a character at Disney World.
That's great.
We got a lot to talk about today. We got a great show for you guys. First off, we are excited to bring you a short interview with Fred Thatch. We're going to go over Rockhurst and Lindenwood. We're going to each ask each other 3 questions about the Billikens moving forward without Javonte Perkins. As I'm sure you all know, Javonte went down with an ACL tear and will be out for the season. So we're going to do something a little different than we normally do. We're going to ask each other some questions and see what the other person's answer is. We're going to talk men's and women's soccer. They're in the midst of their postseason. Women just started the A10 tournament, and the men finished their regular season and will start this coming weekend. We also are going to give a recap of the volleyball and field hockey action as well. Pete, let's get into it. Should we just kick it over to the Fred Thatch interview right now? I feel like we should.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to kick it off.
Cool. We're going to send you over to the Fred Thatch interview. I just want to be clear for all the listeners. This was recorded Wednesday night, just after Javonte Perkins news was announced. We made an editorial note to leave that out of our questions. This was about Fred Thatch and his name, image, and likeness venture, fredthatchmerch.com. So enjoy this interview starting right now. All right, Billiken fans, a first for the podcast. Again, we continue to have firsts. It's only our second year together on Midtown Madness. Fred Thatch joins the podcast. He recently signed a deal with nilthreads.com to produce Fred Thatch merch. He's been taking big time advantage, at least so far, of the name, image, and likeness. Fred, welcome to the Midtown Madness podcast. How we doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So you actually got in pretty early to the NIL situation. You ran a basketball camp in your hometown of Sikeston. Tell us how you came about getting that set up and how it went.
So, pretty much the main goal was just to give kids where I'm from in the Blue Hill area a chance. Down there, we really don't have that many resources. I mean, in the city, there's lots of trainers and lots of different places you can go to get good quality work. But down there in the country, it's not much of that. So really, you just been on your own. So I just wanted to do something for the community, just to give back and just give kids a chance to live out their dreams and play basketball, college basketball at whatever level, to get a free education.
What's the when this starts coming together, what's the process with the athletic department? Do you need to clear everything you're doing from an NIL standpoint with them?
So pretty much it's a process. SLU has their own different rules and guidelines that you must follow. With just a lot. It's new. It's pretty much new for everybody. So it's kind of just something that you do as you think of something, you know, you got to talk to the compliance, Rike, the compliance lady, and she just tells you if it's approvable or not. So pretty much it's an app called Influencer. So whenever you do something, you're supposed to just document it and just put it into the app. That's pretty much all you have to do. As long as you don't use St. Louis University as like to advertise your brand or whatever. Has to be a personal brand, but as long as you don't use the university and everything is legal, then you're good.
Is there any guidance when you're going into kind of the NIL stuff as far as, I mean, obviously you have the compliance officer or compliance, assistant athletic director, but as far as the coaching staff, are they, do you get any feedback on ideas? Do you bounce ideas off them at all?
You know, not really. The coaches don't really get involved with that. You know, they like to just strictly keep it about basketball and, you know, just academics and just basically just everything that they've been having to deal with. So, I mean, dealing with a student athlete can be a lot for a coach. But really, it's kind of just a personal matter, and they really don't get involved too much with it unless they have to. If you're doing something you got no business doing, so they kind of just stay in their own lanes for the most part.
How many kids did you get out at the basketball camp?
So my first camp, I got about 40 kids.
Wow.
35, 40 kids. So it was actually a great turnout for my first camp.
That's awesome.
How do you go about organizing that? I mean, it's, you know, I know camps are a pretty nice, thing for coaches to have in the summer and the off season and everything. But, and I know you've probably helped out at a lot of different camps over the years, but what's it like when you're actually like, okay, this thing's in my name, I got to put it together?
You know, that's actually a very good question, because now that I actually was running the camp and not just helping out with it, it can be a little stressful, because I mean, it's a lot of small things that like you have to get situated. Like for my camp, I wanted all the kids to have t-shirts. So I had to find somebody, you know, to do the t-shirts. And at the time I wasn't with the people I'm with now. So I kind of just had to find some people to just put something together for me. I had a logo made right when they said that everything could happen as far as the NIL. So that's when I got the logo. But so I had to get the t-shirts in it. T-shirts did. So then after that, it was like, okay, now I got to find trophies, you know, just to make it fun, so they can have something to just, you know, keep for themselves. And then that turned into, okay, now I want them to have basketball. So after the camp is over with, kids that can't really afford balls, they can keep a ball with them and they can work on their games whenever he or she wants to. And that turned into, okay, what they gonna eat. And now how long is the camp gonna be? And then you trying to figure all this stuff out. And then you think, okay, wait, where is the camp gonna be at? So it's a process. The whole thing is a process. You know, I learned as I did it. I'm sure my second one would be, I'm excited to have my second camp coming up after this season is over with. So I kind of know what to do now. So I'm just gonna keep following in the same steps that I did the first time and improve on the things that I did wrong.
Did you wade into the waters of finding sponsors for the camp, like finding spots for the t-shirts, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so it was a lot of money put in to get this done. And personally, I don't have a lot of money being a student athlete. So a lot of people donated and just helped me out. And I'm extremely grateful for that. Without them, I wouldn't be able to have the camp at all. So they really helped out with donations. They donated, you know, just for balls, you know, for food, you know, and then the facility I had, you know, I had it in Sykes, and so I knew a lot of people as far as just where I can get a facility from. So they helped me out with the facility. So a lot of things were really just, they helped me out a lot as far as with resources, just helping me save as much money as I could.
So 40 kids, how many counselors did you need for that? How many other players helping out?
So it was me, my barber Nate, my uncle and my brother came down, my dad. So and then there was one more dude named Austin. So it was just 6 of us total who helped out with the camp. Everybody volunteered, so everybody wanted to give back. We made it happen.
So you signed on with nilthreads.com. Tell me, what was the process of kind of researching your options as far as places that could provide you with the I guess stuff that would be harder for you to do. So like, I guess a company to partner with them would be the question.
So basically how it started was I knew I wanted to do some merch. I was coming up with a logo. I was contacting some people before that just to figure out, what I was going to do. I had a couple designs in mind, but then I really didn't think of the fact that like, okay, if I do get these shirts made, I want to know how many shirts to make. What if I overmake? You know what I'm saying? I spend my money and get too many shirts made and then they don't sell. And then I have to ship to people. It's just like a whole lot of different small things that you have to do that I honestly don't have the time for. So what came about? I was on Instagram one day, and BMac, Brandon McKenzie, he goes to Florida. He was at Young KC. I seen that he's one of their like ambassadors, and I just looked on there and I was like, wow, this actually might be pretty good. Might be a good vibe. So I contacted the guy, um, and everything was just smooth. They help. They're really good with communicating with athletes. I gave them my logo. They offered many different logos. They got an idea of what I wanted to do. And we just really went from there. It was a very, very smooth transaction. And, they really helped me out a lot.
Was the logo something you had designed yourself, or were you kind of kicking that around with some different people?
So I paid money to get like 50 different logos made, like right when I found out about the NIL, just to see like, like, okay, this is a perfect opportunity for me to build my own personal brand. So I had got the logo really done for the camp. And then like after the camp, I was like, I really actually like this logo a lot. So I kind of just stuck with that one. And then I had to go through the whole process. And, if it gets big enough, then you got to go through trademarks and all that different types of things like that. So, yeah, that's really how I went through with the logo. I had this company do it for me.
So you have the FT logo, you have Fear That, which is the slogan on the t-shirt. Then you have the Bulldog logo. I mean, I love Fear That. I think that's a sweet kind of slogan, and I definitely like that a lot. How did the Bulldog logo come about?
So really, basically one of my coaches, Christian Nunes, he's a player development coach. He always is walking around like, we need dogs. We need dogs. Like, you got to be a dog on the court. Fred, a dog. We need everybody to be a dog. So basically, like, a dog is just somebody who's aggressive. They do all the small things on the court, diving on the ground, setting charges. And they do the things that nobody really want to do. So basically, that's what came to the concept of Fear That Dog, because I would consider myself a dog. I play hard. I'm aggressive. I'm strong. So like, that's where the dog came from. And then the FT, I was like, you know what? Fear that dog. Like anybody who a dog. Fear that dog. So I just thought it sounded pretty good, and I just gave him the idea. And it just took off from there. So
I love that. I love that explanation.
Yeah, it's a coincidence because my high school is Bulldogs too. So like back home, everybody is like, oh yeah, this is perfect because we Bulldogs. But like the concept of the logo isn't meant for my hometown, like the Tyson Bulldogs. It's just meant to the fact that personally, that athlete think he's a dog. If you're a dog, and it's just fear that dog, like you gotta fear him because he's coming for you.
Yeah, and it's different enough. It's different colors and everything. I never would have even made the connection with your high school.
Well, I didn't even make the Fear That Dog connection, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
now that you're saying it, now that I'm saying, I'm like, that's cool, man. That's cool. I like that.
So so the company you're working with, basically, they manage every aspect of this for you.
Yeah. So like pretty much, they did the website for me. They did everything for me, and like I like it a lot because I don't have to do with shipping. I don't have to do with anything. They do the analytics. They do the marketing if I need it. Like, they do the whole deal. And it's like the shirts are processed as you order them.
Right.
So pretty much as people order the shirts, they're basically paying for the shirts, and then I have to pay for the production to get the shirts made. and then like anything left over is just money for me. So that's how the whole process works. So like basically with this company, any athlete who wanted to, get in touch with them and, communicate with them and try to get something started, it's very simple because I just got the app. If I get a sale, the notification pop up. They handled everything for me and I don't have to touch anything. So I'm pretty much making money without having to get involved with anything. So it's extremely easy, it's stress-free. And that's why I like it so much, because you don't have to worry about shipping. You don't have to worry about ordering this, ordering that. If something sells out, they make sure that it's back on there. So that's why I really like that company. And they're really good at communicating. Jared Corney, that's who I really talk to. He's one of the founders of the company. He talks to me, he checks on me. So we build a relationship every single day. So I just really enjoy building relationships with different people because you never know what you need in life. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm really happy with them.
Do you have a favorite piece on the website?
Yeah, I got a couple favorites. One of my favorites is the champion tie-dye hoodie with the FT logo. I really like that one. I got a lot of nice beanies on there. It's a Fear That Dog beanie that I really like on there. But I'm a little biased because I like everything. So yeah, I like a lot of different things on there.
Yeah, I feel like my dog needs a Fear That Dog collar now. Like that's what I'm thinking about, man.
I might have to throw that on there.
Yes, dude, definitely. I got a, what was I literally just had a question. I can't think of it. Pete, help me out here, man.
Yeah, I've got one. So, this company was basically ready to go when NIL stuff came through. Do you have any idea how many athletes they're working with?
I don't know that. I think they're really just getting started. Like I said, the NIL thing is really just
everybody's learning on the fly.
It's new for everybody, but what they're doing for athletes is tremendous. Because the majority of athletes don't know anything about building a website and marketing and data analytics and how to get people to buy your gear. Like the average athlete don't know anything about that. So them just doing all the small things and communicating and just basically helping athletes, make money is tremendous. So it's like, I feel like in a couple of years, they're going to be that deal in a couple of years if they keep it up, for sure.
All right. I did remember what the question was. And of course, I think I just forgot it again. Good Lord, I'm having a day.
All right, we're just going to put him on mute then.
Go ahead and Pete, go ahead and run this one.
I like the kind of the collective aspect of it. Like you're saying, like nobody's getting stuck with boxes of anything unsold, and at the same time, if something sells quick, you're not worried about orders that are out there that aren't being fulfilled either, because you've got a bunch of different people sourcing from the same place, and they can, like you said, print up, produce whatever they have to as the orders come in. I think that's a pretty great business model. And when NIL was first being discussed, it's not necessarily something that I had thought of. A lot of people were talking about Cameo and different ways to monetize your social media, or they're talking about local sponsorships with like car dealerships and emos and stuff like that. But I think this is really a model that makes a lot of sense to me. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad to hear it's working out in the early going for you.
I appreciate it.
Have you had any local companies, even in Sikeston or in St. Louis, reach out to you as far as that kind of other method of maybe using that name, image, likeness?
Yeah, I had a couple of different banks hit me up from back in the Blue Hill area, but right now, I'm just trying to get the hang of everything. I don't really want to get involved with too much right now as far as signing contracts and this and that. So I haven't really accepted anything as far as from that point of view. But I just thought the merch was something easy and put a little money in my pocket. I'm sure as more rules and more regulations get, approved of as far as like this season, I'm sure a lot more athletes will start to sign with different companies and stuff like that. But like I said, I think it's just new for everybody. You know, it's just a new,
Yeah.
like everything is new for athletes, for different companies and businesses. So I'm just trying to wait just a little bit longer.
I got to ask you, this is what I couldn't come up with because I couldn't find it on the website. And then I scrolled down and finally found it. The milestone merch. Let's talk about, is that kind of a thing you requested, or is that kind of just part of the specific package you deal you got with them?
That's part of the package. So if I get a double or if I get a 20+ point game, it's gonna be a special merch that we get put together now that they're gonna drop. And it's probably gonna just be live for 24 hours. And every game I do, that different merch drop. So they'd be just limited edition merch at a very good price. But that's the whole concept with that deal, just to boost some sales, get people involved, and just it put a little bit more fun in the website.
And a little fun, incentive structure for you at the same time.
Right.
Have you had any of the other guys on the team reach out to you, kind of get your experience with the camp or with dealing with NIL threads?
Not really. I mean, I know TJ hit me up, but he signed with Sub the Guys. He just came out with some merch today, actually. YC got his own little unknown brand going on. So it's like everybody really doing their own thing, I feel like NIL threads will really take off when people really process what they're doing. Because a lot of people, they don't have that many followers on Instagram right now, they're really like low key, they're trying to build their brand up. But once people really find out what they're doing, actually Kaja on the women's team, she hit me up about it. I think she's gonna try to get involved with them. So a lot of people, once they find out what they're doing, they're definitely going to get with them because it's easy. And like I said, it's definitely worth it.
That's awesome, man. Well, I know we're both happy for you, and hope that people go out and buy the merch. Plug it one more time for everyone.
I'm sorry, repeat.
Just plug it one more time for everyone. Where you're at on Twitter, what the website is, what all kind of stuff they can find there.
So the website is fredthatchmerch.com. I'm making an Instagram, a Twitter, Fred Thatch Merch. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Fred Thatch Jr. And basically the website is just, you get it's a lot of different categories. You can get hoodies, you can get t-shirts, you can get ladies, they have ladies apparel, they have kids, they have hats, water bottles, face masks, and basically with each inventory, you can click it. I made sure they have really big sizes for people who are a little bit on the big and tall size. My pops was like, yo, you better make sure they have that big and tall size because I'm not about to be fitting no extra large hoodie. So, I just wanted to make it, available for anybody who wanted to get some gear or some merch. So click it, you can pick your color and go get the merch. It's gonna be exciting.
Fred, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being the first active Billiken athlete on the podcast. So big time thanks for that. It's good talking to you, and I'm definitely gonna release that video again from on the floor of Barclays Center.
It's crazy. It's crazy how fast time flies.
I know.
Crazy. Wow.
I know. I wasn't gonna let you redo that video like it was a TikTok. I was gonna make you sit with that one.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys for having me, for real.
Yeah, of course, man. All right, man.
Yeah, thanks. And keep us posted on whatever's next, and good luck this season.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Yep. Have a good one.
All righty.
All right. We want to thank Fred for joining. So we learned a lot in that interview, didn't we, Pete?
Yeah, that's a great perspective. There's a lot. I think one of the takeaways there is everyone, players, coaches, athletic departments, everyone is learning everything on the fly. And it's even more so for fans because we're kind of left to guess what each of these guys is going through. So pretty cool to get that perspective.
Yeah, I sincerely hope, these companies that are working with these kids and these young adults, are really, doing right by the people that sign on with them. And because I do worry about the Billiken level of celebrity and below of Division I college athletics, and maybe, versus the people that are like the Brandon McKissicks who are at Florida, so it does make me a little nervous. But I hope that I hope, and I know that Fred is an intelligent young man, and he will figure this out, I think. So best of luck
Yeah.
to him. Yep. All right. Men's basketball. We're going to start off with Rockhurst, an 84-42 win against a not great Rockhurst team. Pete, I know you didn't see this. I mean, I can give you guys my rundown, or anything you saw from the box score that stood out to you.
Well, why don't you take it away first? Because unfortunately, both this one and the Lindenwood games, they were not available, stream or even a radio broadcast. So I would love to hear your perspective first before we kind of look at the numbers.
Yeah. So I think they had a hot start with the starters. I think we scored really well right out of the gate. We employed a pressure defense, which was something new, and we'll get into it with Lindenwood because we didn't see that really at all. Except for one or two instances. Of course, Javonte goes down with the injury, and it really sucked the energy out of Chaffetz. I think it's clear that Williams and Jones have a bright green light from just about anywhere on the court. Yuri Collins was named player of the game by SLU. I think well deserved. Nesbitt was long on a lot of his shots early. I think, potential nervous energy, first time back at home against, local fans. I think he'll calm down a little bit. He saw a lot of time late in the game at the point. I thought he did very well in that role with Collins out of the game. Fred Thatch struggled in this one, I think, to finish at the rim as he did in prior years, as much as we did get to see him. But I thought Okoro's physicality was really dominant against a team like Rockhurst, which isn't surprising when you talk about a Division I big versus Division II, Division III NAIA bigs. NAIA sometimes, may differ a little bit because it's of the rules. DeAndre Jones played a lot at the point. He got a lot of a look at the point when Collins was not in there. I thought Linson really had a bit of a transformation over the summer and looked physically impressive. He also debuted a fresh haircut, which does him some favors. It's a very strong haircut, and he ditched that mop top. So not much I don't think you can take from this one. And really, both of these games, I think, are tough to take anything from other than, I think we're going to learn on the fly now, especially. But I think the team struggled to respond and find their way after the Perkins injury a little bit. And I think that might have shaken them up a little bit. But I think there is a decent mentality of next man up on this team.
Looking at the numbers, I mean, I think that sort of feeds into what you say. It's hard not to be shell shocked when your best player plays 10 minutes and then goes down for what would later turn out to be the remainder of the year. So a slash line of 43.5% from the field. They shot under 25% from three. 65% from free throw is not great, but actually better than where we've been in recent years. So not the shooting numbers you'd like to see against a team like Rockhurst. I think if you kind of clean that up a little bit, this is mid 90s, maybe even 100-point game, depending on pace. It was good to see everybody get in the game. I like that. And every scholarship player scored at least 2 points. So that was pretty cool to see too. But yeah, I would definitely like to see the cleaning or the shooting get cleaned up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. The 3-point shooting really is becoming a little bit of a concern for me, I think. I will say, however, if you asked me or if you told me that TJ Hargrove was going to be one of our premier 3-point threats in his junior year of college, I would have told you were absolutely off campus crazy. Like there's no way he would be, I would say he's a slasher. He's gonna go out and get buckets and make his own shot. But you know, catch and shoot 3-point shooter is not something that I expected out of him.
What did you think of the interplay kind of between Linson and Okoro? You know, both of them played in the teens in terms of minutes, so there were times where neither of them were on the court. Is it more or less we're kind of flipping back between 1-5 and another?
I think most of the time, yes, and I think some of the time they did play together, but I just think that with going up against a team like Rockhurst, I feel like you didn't need two bigs in the game against that team. I mean, that's a predominantly 4-guard team. So you run with a Kuro for a little bit, you run with Linson for a little bit at the 5, and sometimes and Traore got a lot of run too because he was physically imposing on Rockhurst bigs. Like they just were not that size. So yeah, I'm interested to see. Not only am I interested to see the interplay between Okoro and Linson, but I'm also interested to see where Lorenzen slots in, as well as whether Traore gets a look, because as we're going to talk about against Lindenwood, when we go up against more physical teams, we may have a foul problem.
Yeah, I could see that. As much as I like Winston and he's such an efficient offensive player, I mean, even makes his free throws. That was an issue for him last year, was foul trouble. So yeah, that's a good point. I hope that's not going to be an issue.
So yeah, an 84-42 win over a not great Rockhurst team. There was a couple of hard fouls. And I think after Perkins went down, there was at least 2 or 3, and man, you could feel Chaffetz getting angry. And just, I mean, there was almost like the all right, let's get our guys off the court and go home. Like it was that kind of attitude where you're like, it's like there's 5 minutes left in this game, it's over. Like TJ just took a hard foul. Let's get the hell out of here. This is ridiculous. So, and I don't want to say that Rockhurst was trying to do anything, but I mean, you have a team that is out there to try to prove that they're better than they are, in Rockhurst. So you definitely don't want any further injuries. And speaking of holding your breath, the Billikens take on Lindenwood today. And I believe within the first 5 minutes, we see Yuri Collins clutching his back and running off the court into the tunnel, and Billiken fans held their breath real tight. Luckily, he returned after the first TV timeout. In this one, I'll just run it down. I'm really, Markai had a great dunk late in the game on a run out, but I'm really hoping to see something change with him going forward. I don't see it right now. I think sometimes he's kind of freshman year TJ Hargrove, first couple games TJ Hargrove still. And I thought Markai might be a little further along, a little baby deer when we need a stag more than ever. But yeah, Markai's, I just feel like he's struggling. Thatch, Nesbitt, and Yuri, though, on the bright side, all look ready to contribute to replace Perkins, I think. We'll still obviously miss that Perkins threat and that presence on the court, but Yuri is showing an ability to score. Nesbitt will, not afraid to shoot, will go attack the rim. Would love to see him try to pull up a little bit more. Thatch did a lot better in this game. I mentioned in Rockhurst, he struggled at the rim. I don't think Thatch missed going to the rim unless he was fouled. But I'd have to double check that. Williams had a lot of bright spots defensively. He picked one of the Lindenwood players' pocket and took it in for an uncontested layup early in that first half. I thought defense was subpar in this game, especially the 3-point defense. I think somebody posted on Billikens.com that I guess our 3-point shooting in practice looks really good because our 3-point defense is so bad. But I mean, Lindenwood made good shots, made tough shots at times too. So there's a little bit of that in there as well. Collins, man, he's my MVP in this game. He's going to be so tough to guard if he's going to be a threat to score like he was in this game. 3-Bid League tweeted out Yuri Collins' stat line and talked about, how impressive they thought that was. And a case in point of this is a little fast break. I believe, I can't remember if it was late first half or early second. I think it was second. Yuri, Nesbitt, Jimerson, and Yuri's got the ball, and you could see in the Lindenwood defender's eyes that he did not know whether to cover Yuri dishing, Nesbitt going to the rim, or Jimerson going to the corner for 3. And we ended up not finishing on the play. I think it ended up being a Jimerson 3 that didn't go home, or that didn't go down. But that brings me to another point: is Jimerson. Shooters shoot, and he's gonna have to continue shooting. But right now he is not feeling it. It seems like doing really well on pull-up jumpers from the mid-range, but the 3-point shot is just not working for him right now.
He did a little bit better with that in the first game. And certainly, I mean, he was our leading scorer in the Rockhurst game. This one, yeah, definitely a quieter performance. And I think there's just going to be nights like that. I don't think there's a reason to worry yet. And certainly we know it's not a matter of him not getting reps or not being up to form or anything like that. I mean, yeah, you say Yuri's the MVP in this one again, and I don't think there's any question about that. He's got 17 points, 11 assists, and 4 rebounds. So that's just an unbelievable performance for point guard. He's now got 18 assists, I believe. I think he had 7 in the first game, and he's only got 2 turnovers in 2 games, and they were both today. So that's the 9-to-1 assist to turnover ratio in 2 exhibition games. Again, exhibition games. The point guards he's going to be facing the rest of the way are obviously going to be a level up, if not 2 or 3 levels up. But he's been excellent so far. Nesbitt, I like to see that he was 2 for 2 from 3 today, 4 for 5 overall from the field, not forcing things. And you mentioned in the first game that he was kind of long on everything, which makes me think he's just like that jacked up. He's just got that energy going. Yeah. So I think, game number 2, it's like, all right, you kind of settle down a little bit. And once again, he kind of, he does a little bit of everything in the stat sheet. So, so just a solid game from him without trying to do too much. At least that's the way it kind of comes across. Thought it was interesting that Linson started again and Okoro off the bench, but Okoro unfortunately fouls out in 12 minutes. Like you said, could be an issue this year.
Yeah, you mentioned 2 things in response. First being Nesbitt and his energy. He plays with such passion, and he is a talker, and he does talk the trash. You can see it, and he will taunt, and he will get technicals this year, people. He will. So that's gonna happen. And then Okoro, I think I think Travis is going with that experience with Linson. Linson's been around the block many, many times. And I think you go with Linson to start, and Okoro's that energy off the bench. But he had some very, very athletic plays at the rim, can throw down monstrous dunks, and he's going to be fun to watch when he gets going, I think.
I mean, you do. I mean, I still look at this and think it's a concern, though, because between him and Linson, it's 34 minutes of play and 9 combined fouls. And I love the fact that they each put in 9 and 6, solid, steady production from a 5-man. But yeah, they're gonna have to figure it out from the fouling standpoint.
Yeah, either that or Lassina Traore and Lorenzen are going to have to suddenly be really, really good.
Well, again, Traore, 6 minutes, 3 fouls. So like, no matter where you look here, and we're not a roster who's got a natural. We don't have a pure number 4. These are all 5 men, in terms of traditional positions. So there are definitely. It's one of those exhibition games where you win by 23. There are some things to look at here and be proud of, but certainly no shortage of things for Ford and the guys to work on cleaning up as well.
Wednesday night, the Atlantic 10, or Wednesday during the day, or was it for, I don't know. Anyway, A10 released their all conference preseason lists. Obviously these were all voted on, pre Javonte Perkins injury. Pete, run down this preseason poll for us and just, what you think of the votes.
Yeah. So number 1 unanimous is St. Bonaventure, which is completely fair. It's more or less what we expected. We've got Richmond number 2, and SLU came in at number 3, again, pre-Perkins injury in the poll. VCU 4, 5th was Dayton, and Davidson number 6, Rhode Island 7th. You got kind of a big drop in votes here. And then you get down to George Mason at number 8. UMass is 9th. Number 10 is St. Joe's, which honestly feels a bit high. 11 is Duquesne. LaSalle's 12. George Washington's 13th. And I think we can all, pretty much pencil in Fordham as 14th in every preseason poll this year. So yeah, like you said, it's before Perkins. I don't necessarily, these kind of things I don't get too worked up about. Richmond brings basically everybody back. So does Bonaventure. I know Bonaventure doesn't go very deep, but I do think they added some nice pieces in the offseason for depth. I don't know if they could re-vote again after Perkins' injury, what they would do. I still think we'd be a top half team, but I would be curious to see that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think this team has its upside still. The preseason individual awards. I mean, we can run through it maybe, but honestly, Javonte Perkins makes the first team all conference. I think I think we're going to end up penciling Yuri Collins back into where Javonte Perkins is on this list. I truly do. After watching what he's done in these exhibitions, I think Yuri's walking with some swagger that can't be defeated right now.
Yeah, he's going to be a threat to make that first team for sure. With JP out, he's a threat for 10 assists every night, and that's without his number 1 scoring threat. I sort of wonder, like, I don't think there's a way to quantify it, but I wonder how many assists per game is he losing out on by not having Javonte there? Like, there are other people who are obviously going to score, but I think, and we'll get into this soon, the whole dynamic of the team is a little bit different, and Yuri doesn't have his number 1 option. But regardless, you're right. He's doing everything out there so far. And I think he's kind of given us a glimpse as to what he can be.
Over under for triple nickels for Yuri Collins this season.
Oh, wow. I think if you put it at 12.
Okay. I like that. I think he gets triple nickel. I think he gets a triple nickel in every bye game we have. And I think he gets it against half of the A10. The bottom half of the A10. I think you can almost guarantee it.
So then you're just over the 12 mark then, I think.
Yeah.
Which is entirely reasonable. I mean, the number that I would be is just rebounds, like how does he rebound?
And
how many balls come long to him or whatever, but yeah.
I think I've noticed a lot of his rebounds come off of kind of everybody retreats for the other team. Like it's a 3-point shot, especially against 4-guard lineups. He'll be the only guy left when the ball hits the ground. So
Yeah, that's right. Not to
he-
mention 4 steals in that Rockhurst game. So there's another avenue to it.
yeah, I'm just I'm so jacked up on Yuri Collins right now. I'm just devastated too for him as well, because he doesn't have the running mate in Javonte Perkins. I think this would be one of the more exciting duos in the country, not just the A10.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk Perkins and what we're gonna miss, or not necessarily that, but let's go. We each put in 3 questions here, I think, and we're gonna ask the other person our question, and the other person is gonna answer that question. So I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna ask Peter, how can the Billikens finish top 3 without Javonte Perkins?
So to finish top 3 in this conference without him, number one, everybody else has to, and I know there's some luck involved here, but stay healthy. We can't afford another key piece going down. We talked so much coming into this season about our depth that really gets thrown out quickly when you lose your number 1 scoring option. Got to stay healthy. Number 2, we need Collins to be the rock that we both have been talking about him as so far. I think he is by far the key piece on this team right now. I think he's the only other guy you can make an argument about as who a season-ending injury would be just as bad or worse than Perkins. I think Collins is the only other guy who you can make that argument about on this whole team. I think our, we talked a little bit about the bigs earlier and wondering about how much each of them is going to play and foul trouble and things like that. I think they just need to be solid. I don't need any of those guys to be like a 10 and 10 guy all the time or anything like that. We got to also keep in mind that Okoro sat out an entire year, was dealing with a number of injuries and personal issues. There's going to be a curve there. Bigs already kind of take time. He's taken time to get back to play in this system and get up to speed. So I think the Okoro we've seen in the exhibition games might not be the guy who we come to know in January, February, March. So we need the bigs to be solid. And then we need guys, I think, I'm looking at the wings. I'm looking at guys like Thatch. This is the year he needs to kind of take that step. Jimerson, to kind of get out of his head and just play a smooth, confident game, get his spots, hit those threes, get his confidence there, and just be steady. I think there's nothing but opportunity for a guy like Terrence Hargrove. So I'm really looking at our wings to step up and just play good ball because it's a tall order to replace him. So I'm going to throw it back to you and ask, what exactly are we losing with him going down?
I think everybody understands that we're losing points. We're losing points. We're losing our senior leader, our super senior leader. We're losing his on the court presence. Well, let me put it this way. We're losing his steadying senior experienced veteran presence. But the more important thing I think that we are losing is his presence on the defensive scouting report, if that makes sense, the other team's defensive scouting report. So what is that? How does that change the way a team would defend the Billikens? Whereas, he would take away maybe that other team's best defender from everybody else. Now that best defender guards Yuri. How does Yuri respond to that? If maybe we see Nesbitt start scoring a lot more and the other team puts their best defender on Nesbitt, how does Nesbitt respond to that? So I think it's that that presence or that ability to go get your own shot, to score 20 points a game. That it's going to put a little more pressure on one of our other guys now, because they're going to have to deal with the other team's best defender. So I think that right there is maybe the part that people aren't thinking about. They're thinking about the 20 points, but we can find points. You can always find points. What you can't find is the presence, I think.
Yeah, and the points that just won't be as efficient, because that's, it's the way he got his points so efficiently. You're not just looking to replace 20 points, but who can do them at the same percentage and in the same way. And it's not an easy answer.
How does losing Javonte Perkins change the style of play that Travis Ford wants to utilize with this Billiken team?
When so I logged on to A10 Media Days the other day, just after he started talking, and I missed one of his first answers, where he said that he wanted to play fast, but now he might need to play faster. And I think that's absolutely something that we've got to do. A little bit later in that talk with the A10 Media, he was talking about, we have a lot of set plays that we run for Perkins that he didn't seem too concerned about. He's like, we can run him for Fred, we can run him for Nesbitt, we can run him for Jimerson. And I was kind of like, I was a little worried about that. I was like, I don't think you can just have all the same sets and run those with, like Perkins. It's we don't have that guy on the bench, and there are guys who are going to play more minutes, who are either not his size or same position, or they just don't score the same way he does. So I think this team has to be cut loose and just play faster than we've seen a Travis Ford team at SLU play. I think we have absolutely the right personnel for that, because we've got a guy like Collins quarterbacking the whole thing. And we have, we still do have number. We still do have some depth, and we have a lot of athleticism, a lot of guys who can finish. And I think, we don't naturally have another guy who's going to go play 35 minutes, but we have a lot of guys who can play 20, 25 minutes. So get out there and run, I think is my number one, way that I would say, I think the style of play changes here.
Yeah. And I think it'll change the style of defense too. I think you'll see a little more pressing. I wouldn't be surprised if Travis brought out the 1-3-1 again. He's got the guys in Okoro, Linson, Lawrenson, and even Traore, I think, or can play that DJ Foreman role that we saw a lot of.
Yeah.
I think you've got tall, quick guards that can get up in your face and not give you a lot of room to make that outlet pass on the initial inbound. So I think there's a lot on the defensive end that's going to have to change too, because you can't just sit in.
That's right. That's exactly. So I have an ongoing text chain with a few other SLU grads, my friends, Tim and Joe and Mike, and some of the points that they were making are coming up right now, because one of them was saying, be more aggressive on the defensive end, look to create turnovers, steals, deflections, by jumping passing lanes. So yeah, it sounds like we're all on the same page there. And then the other thing, we have bigs who can run, both Linson and Okoro can really run the floor, especially Okoro. So I think it's not just our guards who are guys who can really move and shoot threes and finish in the lane. But we 1 to 5 have the ability to play a much faster style. So without, no one on this roster scores the way he does, as efficiently as he does. I know some of the A10 stat geeks have pointed out how few dribbles he takes in turn, when you compare it to his points, and what a low number that is. And that's just something we don't have. So yeah, I think style is a I don't know. That's I think the key here.
There's not a more generic text chain of names than Jim or Peter, Mike, Joe, Tim and Joe. Yeah, not a more generic 4 guys.
All SLU grads and 3 of us were managers. But yeah, you know, what can you do? We were born in the early 80s. That's just how it was. So so let me bring it back to you. And do you think there's like a big let's do it for Javonte Perkins right now? And how strong a motivating factor is that?
I think it's definitely a motivating factor. I would not be surprised in if the bigger motivating factor is this is my time.
Yeah.
This is my time. I think that Nesbitt seems like that kind of guy. I don't know if I think Yuri probably already had that motivating factor before Perkins went down. But I think Fred Thatch probably sees that as well, or sees it like Nesbitt does. I think kind of the take the opportunity by the horn and run with it is more of a motivating factor. But I do think on the whole, there will be that aspect among this team. You know, as far as the guys that aren't going to step up, right? We did get a little into that, and that I think this team does want to do it so Javonte doesn't feel like they let him down. And I think Fred said that on the media day.
Yeah.
He said that in media day that's going to be a big factor is this team doesn't want Javonte to feel like he let them down.
Right.
So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see. Who do you think is we saw Yuri Collins step up, but we expected that, right?
Right.
Who not named Yuri Collins is most likely to step into that role of Javonte Perkins in a way that's most like Javonte?
Yeah, so Yuri and Javonte were the only guys who I knew for a fact were going to play more than 30 minutes a game. That doesn't really change for Yuri. He's still gonna more or less be the same player. Everybody else stands to potentially gain minutes here because now you're not just looking to replace 20 points a game like you were talking about before. You're looking to replace about, I don't know, call it 32 minutes a game. And there's not just like one guy waiting there who's like, hey, I wasn't going to play and now I'll just be Javonte. Those, what did you talk about before? Like Moneyball, like we have to replace him in the aggregate.
In the aggregate.
It really is that. It's 32 minutes by committee. Coach Ford talked about A10 Media Day again. He was saying, you know, Nesbitt, instead of playing, 20 to 25 minutes, might now be 25 to 35 minutes a game, just kind of depending on how things go. They were like, we wanted to bring him along. Now he's going to have to grow up a lot more quickly, for better or for worse. So he's a guy I didn't mention, before when I was first talking about this, but we know how talented he is. We know what he's capable of. He's a freshman, and he's also got, like you said, that persona where he'll turn and jaw to the opposing team, it's going to be hot and cold with him this year. There are going to be games where he looks brilliant and games where he just looks frustrated. And it's just going to be like that. It's how it is with a young, talented player. And instead of having that steady Perkins presence there, he's just going to have to kind of trial by fire now. Baptism by fire might be more accurate. But
Jesuit school and all.
That's right. Nesbitt is a guy whose minutes are definitely going to increase. I think you're probably going to have to see. I talked about Thatch and Jimerson before. I already thought those guys would be like a 25-minute a game guys. We'll see what it does to their minutes, but they're really going to have to be there. Hargrove is another one. He's been starting, and I think he can expect bigger expectations on his shoulders. And then I think, these two more veteran transfers, these guards, Rashad Williams and DeAndre Jones, are both guys who were probably, Jones in particular, I thought would play kind of that Weaver role from a few years ago where he's playing, 10 to 15 minutes a game, call it. That's probably going to be more now. Rashad Williams is probably going to see his minutes increase. Those guys are a lot smaller. They're not going to be able to guard the same guys Perkins could guard, but we're just going to have to see more of them. So those are the guys that I'm kind of looking at that you're going to see more. And like Fred and Yuri said, everybody's got to step up, quite frankly. But I think those are the ones that we're going to see the minutes change the most on.
Yeah, I'm excited to see who does. I think, and just to throw it out there, I thought, because I did put a disclaimer, I didn't want Yuri Collins. Yuri Collins made some plays in this game that were Perkins-esque. A lot of pulling. He would pull up in the lane. In lieu of that little short jumper, there was a little more floater action to his shot, but the same kind of stuff. I thought he played with, big cojones, so just like Perkins does.
I thought he was already going to try and maybe score a little more this year than we've seen him score. But I think now this kind of cements it. I think, a confident Collins is the best kind. And I think now, as he said in media day, they already kind of told him this was his team. And I think now a veteran point guard knows that's the case. And it's just, I think he sort of welcomes the higher workload, the higher expectations. So let me finish it out with this one for you. What do you think this does to Perkins' long-term plans? He took this this fifth year to come back to SLU, and within 10 minutes of the first exhibition game, he goes down for a whole year. What do you think he does next?
Man, that's tough. I think it all.
I know this is not a fair question, by the way.
The sentimental,
it's the hardest assignment.
I know the sentimental answer to that is he comes back and proves to the pro scouts that he can play big time at the next level. But I mean, this is literally what they talk about when they say, why would you come, like the guys who go one and done. This is what they talk about.
Right.
When they say, why would you go back for a second year, play for free, and risk injuring yourself?
Right.
And Perkins was betting on himself. And unfortunately, sometimes the ball on the roulette wheel flies off the table. Sometimes the dice in craps fly off the table. So, and that's in his ACL flew off the table. So I think he rehabs. Obviously, I can't see him trying to do it again. I think I mean, he worked so damn hard to get where he's at. And I think to work that hard again and have something derail it in another college season just might do him in. I really do.
The timing of it is also rough because it's one of those things. If it happens in the spring, he's 100% by the spring, and now he's kind of not fully there in the spring, where you kind of got to know what your plans are for the next year. So I don't know what that feedback process looks like if he's, looking at a pro career or whatever. It's a setback in more than one way, and I'm gutted for him. It's not fair at all.
He's gonna have to prove himself on the job.
Yeah,
he's gonna have to take. Yeah, if he goes pro, or leaves school, he is going to have to take a light contract somewhere in a lower level.
That's right.
He should, because big clubs over in Europe aren't gonna take a flyer on him.
No.
NBA certainly is not gonna take him.
Yeah, he's just going to have to kind of quickly work his way up. I mean, the good thing about going overseas is it's a pretty fluid thing. You can move around pretty quickly. So, if he's over there and he truly is playing way out of whatever level he's starting out in, he can move up the chain.
Yeah, I think that, I just think he's at an age where he's going to have to just go, because you're not getting any younger. NBA teams aren't going to want to bring you in if you stay another year in college and then you have to go to the G League or what. They're not going to want you anymore, unfortunately. So It sucks. It really does.
Right.
No, go ahead, Pete. Sorry.
No, I'm good.
You know what else sucks, Peter?
I do.
Another ACL tear two ACL tears in as many days.
Yeah.
And that's what we're about to talk about with women's basketball. As we got the news Wednesday as well, I think.
I think we found out about both on the same day. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Stu Durando tweeted out MST Miriam Smith Traore tore her ACL in practice the morning after Perkins, and we found out the same day.
Yeah.
Pete. I mean, as if my stomach didn't hurt enough Wednesday. This really wrenched my gut.
All I was thinking about was Perkins, and I was just so torn up about it. And, we're going through Twitter and I see this, or I think actually you texted me. That's how I saw this one first. And I was just like, I mean, you can't be serious. Back to back. And this again, like, yeah. Okay. Harbison's the number one player on the women's team. It's her team. Got it. But MST, you're talking about 32 minutes a game, a starter who averaged 9.1 points, 9.1 rebounds, and not to mention she was by far the most efficient scorer on the team, 52% from the field, co-captain, about as big a loss as they could have. She's one of their three best players. The ripple effect here is not only are you looking to replace that level of production, that scoring, and that rebounding, you're losing a key defender, who's second in both blocks and steals on your team. And you line her up next to Flowers, and you've got one of the best front courts in the A10. Now you've got Flowers and hopefully the transfer from Arizona, her name's Saval Ghul, is ready. Other than that, you've got some really young bigs, and they're raw. And so this just means Flowers is that much more vulnerable because defenses can now really focus on her. So I hope Ghul is ready to really step up. We haven't seen her at all yet, being a transfer. But this is a brutal loss for the women's team.
Yeah, I mean, it's just at what point do you start it reminds me, it gives me a little flashback to the year that we had like 6 women's basketball players get stress fractures with the shoes that they were wearing.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost makes you want to start asking questions about why 2 people went down back to back. I mean, ACLs are such freak injuries, and I don't want anything or anybody to be to blame, because I don't think there is. But if you continue to have people getting injured, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, different players, different teams, different circumstances. I think even different floors. I guess was the women's team. They probably weren't playing on the main floor of Chaffetz when this happened. I don't know that for sure.
Right.
Not to mention, game action versus pride. A lot of different circumstances here. And, Perkins was such a fluke coming down on it, non-contact play under the rim. I haven't seen or heard the details of what happened with MST necessarily, but I imagine, as with most ACL tears, they're fairly similar that way. It's more of like an awkward landing usually, and not contact that does it. So I don't necessarily get suspicious that way. I think it's just horrible luck.
Yeah, I think Billiken fans would go with the old phrase, if we didn't have bad luck, we'd have no luck at all. I don't subscribe to that. I don't subscribe to that thinking. I don't subscribe to curses. I don't think anybody should. I think it's crazy, but I can see why Billiken fans are frustrated.
Yeah, it's just a really unfortunate coincidence.
How about we talk about some fun?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's get out of this.
Before we do, the women do have an exhibition coming up.
Yes, they do
against Lindenwood.
Yes,
so
that's on
11/3.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so on the 3rd. So just be aware of that. They're at home against Lindenwood, who we'd love to play in these exhibition games.
Yep. Men's soccer. Well, both soccer teams are kind of turning it on late. It seems anyway. Men's soccer has had it on the whole season. They are currently number 10 in the nation, and they defeated Rhode Island in the season finale 3-1. Goals from Simon Betcher in the 20th minute, assisted by Chandler Vaughn and Isaiah Parker. This one was a really nifty finish from Betcher off a really nice cutback from Chandler Vaughn. Kip Keller converted a penalty kick for his second goal of the season on in the 40th minute. Johnny Klein gets a goal, gets his fourth of the season in the 59th minute unassisted. The Rhode Island Rams get one back in the 86th minute on a Patrick Agyemang penalty kick, his seventh of the season. This one made me nervous going into it, just because Rhode Island is probably the second best team in the A10 right now. But it was good to see the Billikens get this one in convincing fashion, and this was fun because it again, I say this all the time, and these are important games, but it feels more than that now. Like logging into ESPN Plus and turning on a Billiken men's soccer game feels important.
Yeah, it's kind of become appointment viewing again.
I just had that phrase in my head. That was what I was thinking.
It's invigorating to see SLU soccer playing like this again, to playing confident attacking soccer, to being a nationally prominent program, to be undefeated this late in the season. These are all things that at one point in this program's history we took for granted, but it's just been a long time. And yeah, I mean, there's always sort of the weight of history behind this program, which might not be fair. You've got more national championships than anyone else, but you haven't done it in either of our lifetimes. So I think that's something a lot of SLU fans are aware of. But I love the way this team plays. And like you, I was so nervous coming into this one. Rhode Island's the number 2 seed coming up in the A10 tournament. Second play had clinched second place in the conference and was playing some really good ball. And just the way SLU came out again, confident. It could have been Rhode Island, it could have been Georgia. It didn't matter who it was. They just seem to be having their way with the conference this year. It's a blast to watch.
Yeah, I mean, Betcher, what can you say? Just outstanding up top. Kip Keller, always that steadying presence in the back, alongside Palazzolo, who we haven't got to talk. Palazzolo has been kind of the unsung hero this year, I feel like.
Yeah, just rock solid.
Yeah, rock solid. You don't hear much. You don't even hear his name much on the broadcast, but he's there. He's always there. Kip Keller kind of gets the PKs and gets the talk. And Patrick Schulte doesn't get a lot of credit either. I mean, because this team is so damn good in front of them.
Yeah, I mean, defense, goaltenders are naturally not going to get as much love, especially when you've got guys like Betcher up front and Klein just always making everything happen. Both of them I loved in this game, by the way. Betcher, so often when he scores, it's off a really nice feed, and he loves the one touch and kind of finishing at just the perfect angle, but not always a predictable angle. So again, love the way he finishes, whether it's off his head or his back heel or however he finishes. And then Klein, I loved the way he played in the second half. He got that goal, and then after that kind of went at the goal a couple more times, like almost like he was kind of really feeling himself in this game. Like he's normally the guy who's setting everybody else up, leading the country in assists. And in this one, really being a little more assertive, going to the goal, which was a blast to see. So I just can't say enough about how good these guys look and how well they're playing, how fun they are to watch. If you're not watching them play, please do yourself a favor and pop on ESPN when they're on.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll get a few chances to watch them, hopefully at least 2. I think at least 2, because they will begin their quest for the A10 Conference Tournament Championship and the auto bid on the 6th of November at 7 p.m. against number 8 seed Dayton. The Billikens are the 1 seed in this tournament. Last time out, the Billikens took home a 2-0 win. A rundown of the A10 conference tournament bracket. As I mentioned just a second ago, number 1 St. Louis will play number 8 Dayton in St. Louis. Number 4 Fordham will host VCU on SLU's side of the bracket. So hopefully the Billikens will beat Dayton and get the winner of Fordham VCU in the semifinals. Number 2 Rhode Island will host Davidson, who is the 7 seed. And finally, St. Joe's that is the 3rd seed, and they will play host to number 6 Duquesne. And all of those games, I believe, are on the 6th, almost simultaneously, but I'm not sure. Looking at the Billikens' final regular season record, they finished the season with an outstanding undefeated record of 12 wins, no losses, and 3 tiu. And none of those ties came in conference play. I believe SIUE was the tie.
UIC was another one.
UIC was a tie.
And I think SMU was it at SMU was at a tie.
You know what, I believe that was a tie, because I think they were winning most of the game and then they gave up the goal late.
Yeah, it was SMU. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember us talking a lot about that, and I feel like we were way more concerned than we should have been about that, because after those 3 disappointing kind of ties where they controlled the game and the lead for most of the contest, and then gave up a late goal, they have rattled off all these wins. They kicked the crap out of Creighton at home. They've looked so good since, and it's good to see that we were just a couple message board morons on that opinion.
Well, it was just the way that they had, because we took the lead in all of them and gave up the lead late in all of them. And that was really hard, especially against, SMU on the road. At the time, they're the higher ranked team. It's on the road. You come out of there with a tie and you actually feel pretty good. But SIUE and UIC at home are 2 that really got away. And then your first A10 game is against UMass. And if you remember that one, it was pretty shaky, and it was back and forth, and it was on the road. We came away with a late 3-2 win that kind of felt like a gift. The fact that it wasn't another tie, and then since then it's been pretty been playing. Obviously needed overtime to win at St. Joe's, but have played pretty great throughout this A10 year.
Yeah, I wonder if that gave them a little bit of confidence to go forward, and that they can react when they do face adversity of a team climbing back in the game.
Yeah, certainly. When we talk about the confidence they play with, and we've seen nothing but that lately. So I would like to think they're well equipped for whatever they see in this A10 tournament.
We're looking at the final regular season stats now. Point to be made is that anything garnered in the postseason does still count for their total assists and goal numbers and points. Betcher finishes the regular season with 11 goals and 7 assists in 15 games. I think the mind-blowing stat here, though, is that Johnny Klein has 15 assists and 4 goals, only playing in 14 of 15 games. He did miss 1 game. He's still in the chase for Matt McKeon's 20 assists. If the Billikens play at least 4 more games, the quarterfinal, semifinal, final, and first round of the NCAA tournament, at least that's 4 games that he has a chance to grab 5 assists in. So certainly McKeon's 20 assists is within reach.
Yeah, he could do it. I mean, we just watched that game at George Washington where he had 3. So I think if he's got, especially if he's getting multiple chances at free kicks anywhere near their box, he's always got a chance to tally more. He just really he gives his teammates the best possible chances to score. So I would like to think we're playing at least 5 more games and that he can average 1 per, kind of like he has all season. So yeah, I'd love to see it. I don't think McKeon would mind either.
No, I think he would be happy to see it.
Yeah.
Now we know it's Halloween weekend, but when it comes to women's soccer, Saturday was almost Groundhog Day. Fortunately for the Billikens, history did not repeat itself a week later. The Billikens take on Rhode Island in the Atlantic 10 Conference quarterfinal. They hosted it at Herman Stadium on Saturday at, I believe, 3:00. It was kind of a late start. Billikens controlled this game the entire way. Possession, corner kicks, all the usual suspect stats that you expect to see the Billikens dominate. And once again, they struggle to score, and they give up a counterattack goal off a corner kick. I was going to say stop if you've heard this before, but I feel like it's almost played out at this point.
Yeah, it really is. Efficiency. They've struggled with efficiency. And we talked about a lot of times when they get scored on, it's transition goals where there's just a lot of room to operate up the middle for the other team. And this one, it was kind of a fluky play. SLU had, of course, 10 corner kicks to 0 for Rhode Island, of course. And ball bounces out to Claire Ross, who just carries it down the entire length of the field. The only defender back to challenge her is Beach, and she kind of got burned. She made a bad decision, got burned. And Ross had enough room to kind of put it by Emily Puricelli. And my jaw just dropped. I was just like, oh, you cannot be like, of course. So now they're going to be playing panicked second half ball to catch up a game that they've dominated in every way. That was just so hard to watch. I mean, you called it Groundhog Day. I don't know what else you could even have thought about it at this point.
Yeah, it was like that Wile E. Coyote Looney Tunes jaw on the floor, just the mask, the jaw, like his jaw. I mean, it was just, and I have to watch it again, but watching it in real time, it almost seemed like the Rhode Island attacker that wasn't Claire Ross tapped it in. She either tapped it in right before it hit the goal line or just after. And I wonder if she was offside. Like, I genuinely had to question that because it was a soft shot from Claire Ross that went far
Right.
post, and there was a player on the back post that may have gotten to it just after it crossed the goal line and tapped it even further into the net. So
Yeah, watching it the first time through, I didn't think she did. If she did, that
that would be wild.
it would be wild, especially because there were a couple of calls later in the game that were really kind of, the ref missed a pretty clear handball.
Yes.
He in the box.
3 potential penalties.
Yeah, and this one, it was high and it hit an elbow. It was a very clear deflection off an elbow. I don't know if he thought it hit somebody's head or something, but missed that one, and that would have given SLU a chance for a PK to tie.
Yeah.
So there was definitely some missed calls down the stretch too. So I wouldn't be completely surprised if what you said did happen, even though I didn't catch it if it did the first time around.
Yeah, I'll get into the 3 potential penalties missed. We did mention the one already. Thank God for Brianna Halverson in the 86th minute. She gets a goal as the ball crosses the face of goal. I think it was almost kind of a rebound off of a block, as if I recall correctly. Bree Arthur and Caroline Kelly get the assists on her. A hell of a time for Halverson to get her first goal of the season. At least according to SLU website, is her first goal. I feel like I remember her scoring one, but the way the Billikens have been struggling to put the ball in the back of the net, it would not surprise me if it was her first. There was then of course in the 103rd minute, the Billikens, after a plethora of corner kicks, finally put one home off the head of Lindsay Heckel. That's Lindsay with 2 Ys, Peter.
Yeah, sorry.
And
Sorry, Lindsay. She even liked the tweet where I spelled her name like completely wrong. So I personally apologize to Lindsay Hackle. I am sorry.
It was assisted again off the corner kick by Hannah Frederick, and the Billikens get the golden goal. Mercifully to all the fans that were clenching their fists and gritting their teeth through that last 20 minutes of extra time. Or, after that 13 minutes of extra time, I think it's 10 and 10. 3 potential penalties missed. At least that's what I counted. Halverson was fouled, but did not go to the ground in the first half. The handball you mentioned the second, and then Billiken was taken down in the box in OT. There might have been a claim that the defender got the ball. Not sure on that one. So I couldn't really tell.
The ESPN Plus broadcasts at SLU are great. We get good replays.
We do.
And the first run through of that when it was live, from full distance, I thought, okay, it was iffy enough not to call, but on the replay, it was pretty clearly a foul. It really comes down to, does the ref want to call? I think it more had to do with I do. It's like call the foul. If it's a foul, call the foul, and the circumstances are what they are.
Yes.
But I think refs, being human beings, are reticent. They hesitate to call those in this. Like, do I really want to be the person who gives SLU the PK to tie this game? I think there's always some of that going on in their head, and yeah, so they got away with a little one there too.
I read 10 pages of a book once about statistics, and and there was a nice little little section about errors, the referees making errors of omission versus commission. And they said that refs are more likely to be okay with making an error of omission than making an active wrong call. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think
that's definitely true.
Yeah, you see a lot of that, and how we talk a lot more about missed calls than incorrect calls, I guess, is what you would say.
Right.
First round results of this was, like I said, the quarterfinal round of the A10 tournament. 8 teams made it, just like the men. Match 1, we had an absolute shocker, Peter.
St. Joe's, the number 8 seed, beats the top seed VCU 1-0. And this could not have worked out better for everyone else.
Yes. And I'm double checking this really quickly. I do apologize for not having it up, but I believe, yes, this is the second time in a week that St. Joe's has knocked off VCU.
In Richmond too. These were both home games for VCU. So they end the regular season with St. Joe's. St. Joe's comes back a week later to play them in the A10 tournament and beats 1-0 both games. VCU beat everybody else. I mean, they were 9-0 coming into October 24th against St. Joe's. Just unbelievable. I guess for whatever reason, St. Joe's has their number, but I'll take it because just like in the men's bracket, the better seed has the home game. So that could come. Whoever wins the SLU Dayton game is going to have home field for the final.
It's pretty odd to see that it happened with two sets of 2 teams, where VCU had to play St. Joe's back to back with the tournament game, and St. Louis had to play Rhode Island back to back. Very interesting to see.
Weird quirk of scheduling.
Yes, for sure. But we mentioned that St. Joe's knocked off number 1 seed VCU, which opens the field wide for the rest of the teams in the A10. UMass trounces St. Bonaventure. Number 4 UMass beats number 5 St. Bonaventure 5-1 in a game that was not even close. Dayton defeats Richmond at home. That's number 2 Dayton, number 7 Richmond. This game was close. Richmond and Dayton were locked at 1 for a long time, late into the second half, and Dayton finally got 2 late goals to send them through to play host to our Billikens. And of course, as I mentioned, SLU defeats number 6 Rhode Island 2-1 in double overtime. I will say, with the loss by VCU, it opens up a possibility for St. Louis. St. Louis would host the final if they get past Dayton.
That's right. Yeah. And I mean, and if Dayton wins, they'll host the final too. So it is odd. We go to Dayton for this one and then have a chance to come back home and play play a weaker seed at home, which is kind of a great situation. We talked about this last week, and I didn't necessarily love being on the same side of the bracket as Dayton, just because that's a team SLU has seen so much, because of the way the schedule was in the COVID season that was played last spring and not last fall. This will actually be the 5th time this calendar year. No, I take that back. 6th time this calendar year, because we played them in the regular season too, that SLU will have played Dayton. And SLU won all 4 matchups last year and 1 earlier this season. So I just hate playing a team that many times. We always have talked about it in men's basketball in those conference tournament games where you see a team the 3rd time. No matter what you did in the regular season, anything can happen. I feel like I've been saying this every time SLU plays Dayton and SLU keeps winning. But at some point they won't. They're just so familiar with the Bills at this point. I wish it were anybody else.
Yeah, you mentioned how many times we've played Dayton, and we have had their number. Last time out, obviously, the Billikens won 1-0. But the Billikens have 8 straight wins against the University of Dayton, and they are undefeated against Dayton in the last 9. That first of the last 9 games was a tie. The last time the Billikens lost to the University of Dayton was the first round of the A10 tournament in 2016. That was November 3rd of that year. The other side of the bracket, the other semifinal will be number 8, St. Joe's, traveling to UMass to play the Minute Women. So keep an eye out for that. Interesting. The Billikens will play on, the 5th at 3:00, I believe. Kind of weird how they're doing it, because they're almost scheduling it like it's at the same place, but it's not, right? So yeah. St. Joe's and UMass will play it, I believe, like noon Central Time, and then the Billikens and Dayton will play at 3 Central Time. So interesting kind of how they set that up.
Right.
Any more thoughts on this on soccer on either side?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just going to be a really interesting weekend. I'm excited.
Yes.
Excited. Yeah, I cannot wait to watch.
I'm not even looking at you right now, and I knew what you were on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm just excited to watch both these teams play. I think that Rhode Island win. Wow, would I love to see that be the spark that all of a sudden reminds this SLU team that they were ranked top 20 coming into this season. It's like it's time. It's kind of time to turn it on and be who we know they can be, and start finishing and roll into the NCAA tournament. Let's do this.
Yep. And I just want to reiterate, you'll have at least one or two more times to see the men's team. They will play on the 6th at home, 6th of November, and then the first round of the NCAA tournament. I don't want to look too far ahead, but I believe it'll be the 18th of November. All the games are that day, so you can pencil that in on your calendar. Volleyball, we're going to run through this real quick because we have had so much to talk about on men's soccer, and men's and women's soccer, because they're so in the heart of conference tournament play. and big things at the end of the regular season. Volleyball beat George Washington 3-0 at home, and then turned right around and beat George Mason 3-0. Just good to see them kind of walk over the dregs of the A10 in volleyball. It's what they needed to do. They're putting themselves in a good position as we reach the end of the conference season. If you can give yourself a shot to do well in the A10 tournament, they can compete with VCU and Dayton. We've seen it this year. They just got to go out and do it. And Kent Miller has to game plan, and the Billikens got to execute it. It is possible. So we'll see how they do. They take on Fordham and Rhode Island on the road on the 5th and 8th of November, respectively. Field hockey, Pete, I'm disappointed, man. I got hyped. I got myself too hyped up.
Could have had this one. It was, the battle for 7th, and it felt so close, but they came up a little short, losing 2-1 at Davidson. The other team that was battling for not finishing last in the A10 this year. And close game, tough road game. It's unfortunate, but we'll get them next time.
Yeah, no, I think I tweeted it out, and I honestly couldn't tell you definitively when the last time the Billiken field hockey team finished outside last place, but I can tell you definitively it was over a decade ago. It may have been before I entered college, before I graduated high school. And this was a chance, and this was a very good chance to do it. Unfortunately, they gave up the early goal to Davidson. I believe they tied the game, and then Davidson ended up scoring the go-ahead goal late in the game. So just, gutted for a team that had a chance to do something they hadn't done in a long time. It's a team that felt like they were finding confidence in themselves. There's no way, there's no reason for them to have that confidence, but they were finding it with the overtime wins, and I feel bad for this team. One small note, and then a big note on the end that we need to talk about, that I regret that I did not put this higher up on the list of things, and that's my fault. But first of all, the small note: swimming and diving. Shout out to St. Louis University freshman Jedrick Gamilla. He is the A10 Conference Men's Swimming and Diving Rookie of the Week for the week ending on the 24th of October. So congrats to him for that. This past week, the Billiken basketball family specifically lost one of its all-timers. Bob Ferry passed away at the age of 84 on October 27th. Pete, run through just who Bob Ferry was and what he did in his illustrious career, both in college and high school, college and the pros. Listen to me, St. Louis, and talking about high school.
Bob Ferry is one of these guys. He's one of 4 retired jerseys up there in the Chaffetz Arena rafters. And he kind of gets a little bit forgotten about because, we think back to the early era of Billiken basketball, and we think about Ed McCauley, who was a little bit before him, about a decade before him, and sort of forget about Ferry. So he went to Cleveland High School. He loved, Grand Avenue, stayed on Grand, went to SLU. He's a first team All-American in 1959 in the US BWA. And then there's, a few different, I guess you'd call them media entities that had him as a second or third teamer, but he was a consensus All-American in 59, first team All-Conference. SLU retires his number. He's one of the all-time greats, and goes on to have a decade-long NBA career, starting with the St. Louis Hawks, who drafted him. And then he played for the Pistons and the then Baltimore Bullets, who eventually moved to Washington. He was an assistant coach after his playing career, for staying with Baltimore with the franchise, stayed with them during their move to Washington, and then becomes GM. And he oversaw the most successful period in that franchise's history. In his 17 years as GM for Washington, they make the playoffs 13 times, make the finals 3 times, and bring home their only championship in 1978. So he's a 2-time NBA Executive of the Year. After Red Auerbach, I think he was only the second GM to hire 2 different African-American head coaches at a time where that was not as common. Just a great representative of SLU on and off the floor. You called it an illustrious career, and that's absolutely right. I think the night he died, the night we found out about it, was he made SLU proud. He made the game of basketball better. And there's not a lot of people you can say that about. He had a truly impactful presence in the game of basketball, especially at the pro level. So just everything you hear about him is he was a total class act, great guy. And yeah, we're going to miss him.
Yeah, I didn't get to kind of, I don't think I ever paid attention, and I feel horrible about that because you get caught up in guys like Larry Hughes and Ed McCauley, but really I feel like I don't think SLU did enough to embrace Bob Ferry and kind of put out there that Bob Ferry was a Billiken and was a St. Louisan. And he was so instrumental in a lot of aspects of the NBA, even after he quit playing.
Completely agree. I mean, you know, we tend to, I guess, both at SLU and St. Louis in general, we tend to have a bias toward people who are still there. And here he is, 1,000 miles away in DC. Even after he was no longer their GM, I think he was an NBA scout for another 20, 25 years. So just all over the pro game for decades. And you're right. Why don't we talk about him more? Why isn't he a name that pops up more as the guy that SLU fans can really hang their hat on as being proud of? There aren't many people who stay involved in the NBA for as long as he did. And you know, like when you think about it, he gets drafted in 1959. He retires in 68 as a player, and then he's an assistant coach for like 4 or 5 years, and then take the next 17 years, I think up through 1990, he's the GM, right? And then take another from 1990. I don't think he retired until like 2014 or 2015 as a scout. He's been involved with the NBA straight through from basically the 50s to 2015. That's wild. I mean, nobody has a career that long in the league, obviously in a lot of different formats, but and just quietly getting it done.
Yeah. So again, our condolences to Bob's family. And there was a really nice moment of silence today at Chaffetz before the game. So good to see them acknowledge him in that way. But like I said, I wish they did more, you know, more that I do love that they do these teams where they bring the teams back, but I really wish they would do more to honor individuals specifically, you know, whether it be giveaways even. I mean, you do giveaways where you know, maybe a Bob Ferry jersey or we did an Ed McCauley bobblehead. Why don't we do more of those? Where's, you know, if we're not going to retire Larry Hughes's number, because I guess the word is that you have to graduate. I don't know. Why not do a Larry Hughes bobblehead? Let's keep these guys that played here and are doing great things out in the world beyond SLU basketball. Let's do more to promote them and make sure people know the past.
I'm hoping that in the O'Loughlin Family Champion Center, once that is all up and running, I'm hoping there are places there that sort of, I don't know if they're going to shift like the whole like Hall of Fame area or anything over there, but if there's a place where we can really kind of highlight these people, because he is the perfect example of somebody who has this really long, interesting career that I think would be fascinating to anybody in the SLU community.
Yeah.
So yeah, if there's a way to kind of give some of these guys more credit. I mean, obviously he's not completely forgotten. He has the jerseys in the rafters, but
Right.
but yeah, Bob Ferry, you know, like I just kept reading like, wow, why didn't I pay more attention to all of this? Just a really cool career, a cool guy.
Yeah, everyone knows I like to complain about things at SLU, but I think my biggest issue that I rarely bring to the forefront is where that Hall of Fame is and how not front facing it is.
Yeah, right. They kind of have to put that somewhere a little bit more public. I know if you go to, it's easiest comparison for me because my wife's family
Do
is
it.
season ticket holders there. But if you go to a game at Cintas Center at Xavier, they've moved their like men's basketball Hall of Fame display. It basically takes up the whole concourse on one side of the arena. So it's pretty cool, and people really use it. I mean, like before, there are a lot of people who kind of show up early to games or whatever, and they're just walking around having a beer, looking at like Brian Grant's playing career, you know, or something like that, or like what James Posey did in the tournament or something. So I don't know why we don't have ours in more of a public area.
Yeah, I always try to think about where would be best, and I think I truly think when you walk in, I mean, all that should be removed, and when you walk in, you should be able to see everything right there. I mean, even if you don't have the Hall of Fame out there, let's start highlighting these guys. I mean, we have those historical photos up above the, you know, along that ribbon almost, but that's not enough. It's not. You have to draw in fans long term. You have got to connect your history. You have got to connect your history.
I wonder about our arena and the management of it, and if that has anything to do with it, because they see it as such a venue for special events.
Right.
But even so, like when these acts come to town, I think they understand that they're playing an arena on, you know, like it's not theirs. So if you're going to see a jazz festival and you walk by some basketball Hall of Fame display, I don't think you're like, why is that here?
Well,
You
I
know,
mean,
people get it.
It's everywhere else too, though. I mean, everybody else does that. Like, why can't
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I just don't
Right.
see. And if you really wanted to, get some curtains, you know?
Yeah.
If the artist requests it, okay, cool, curtains.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think we need to start connecting our past better. And I love that we do. We highlight the teams at halftime and whatnot, but people are getting beers and popcorn and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of, I mean, you're putting them on par with the dance team, and I love the dance team. And by the way, this is probably the best the dance team has. Like, I thought the dance team has done great, like so far. Like I saw both their performances; they were great, and they'd work hard and all this stuff. But I don't want to bring any offense to them, but our legends should not be put on par with the dance team.
Yeah.
That's my
I think they've got to be more prominent than just in kind of a hallway that nobody sees.
Absolutely. I think we've covered a lot, and this is going to be about an hour and a half, an hour 45, 2-hour episode. So, including the Fred Thatch interview. So I hope everybody enjoys it. Thank you all for listening. Don't forget to find us on social media at Midtown Mad Pod. If you haven't already, follow us there. You can follow me, Zach Miller, MMP. You can follow Peter at Peter is a tweeter. You can make sure you're subscribing to our podcast feeds. Go in, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. Reply to us on Twitter if we ask a question, because that helps get that visually gets us out there. So again, Peter, any last thoughts for everybody out there?
Check out Fred Thatch merch.com and see what he's doing. And be sure and watch both of the soccer A10 playoff games this week. Both are going to be on ESPN Plus, and they should be a lot of fun. So check them out, and let's hope for some deep fall runs here from our soccer teams.
Some W's, eat them dubs.
Yeah.
They've been, that was a cool video of them after they won with the signs and everything. So,
yeah,
but yeah, check those out for sure. And go men's basketball Bills and go soccer Bills.
Yeah. Go Bills.